All right, you're at the Watchman Way. June 20th, 2020. What the heck? My earbuds in. Um, let's see. I'm going to start with something we all have been guilty of, including me, something that I'm working on. It's, you don't have to look very far today to notice almost everybody pointing fingers at different people, different groups. It seems like everybody's more worried about everybody else's business than taking care of their own. And just for the watchman, that's not how we want to do things. We need to look at ourselves first. We can't be pointing any fingers if we haven't taken a really hard look at ourselves. You know, if we all did that, we'd have a much better country and a much better world. You know, I'm not going to make excuses, but this is just another example of how the deep state uses their power of the media to shape, kind of herd us in, like sheep, into the directions they want. And of course, everyone knows now. I mean, their biggest weapon is divide and conquer. You know, they will always are working to put wedges. I've been around a long time. I was born in 1955. And in California. So obviously you grew up in California, 25 miles from San Francisco. You're aware of all of the social issues that have come over time with just homosexuality or sexuality in general. I mean, it used to be, you're gay or straight, right? Man or woman. Look at how ridiculous this labeling has become. It's like, and it's not for our benefit. It's because the more groups there are, the more wedges they can get in there, right? And then you got everybody fighting. And that's exactly what these people want. We don't want to play into that game. They win when that happens. And so, I mean, and I'm not saying that you don't call people out when they're wrong. What I'm saying is, look at yourself first to make sure you're on track before you're pointing at anybody else. We still need to, call people out when they're mistaken. But I see too much of this stuff happening in gray areas where, it's counterproductive. If you can't show that somebody is really off on what they're saying or thinking, you probably should keep it to yourself. There's plenty going on out there that we can jump on. There's no question about, right? We're going to get into some of it here in a minute, but I just want to start there just because I'm as and I've been talking about this. As we get closer to the end, I've been saying the good are going to get better, the evil are going to get worse. And that goes also, as we get closer to the end, to the cognitive dissonance and the lashing out by people who don't have a clue what they're talking about, just they're scared. We've got to understand those people also. And when we see that irrational thought process, we need to understand what we're dealing with. And to get in an argument with somebody suffering from cognitive dissonance is a 100% complete waste of your time, because you're not going to convince them. They're going to have to absorb it over time. And honestly, at this point, our job as watchmen is to red pill and prepare. Our job is coming to an end here, that first portion of our job. Then we're going to move on to the way and really promoting that and pushing that. But very soon now, within weeks, I think everybody's going to get their red pill force-fed. I've been having a lot of discussions with people over the last couple of weeks about the things that are coming and kind of getting a feel. And I'm still of what the kind of the sentiment is, out on the streets. And I'm amazed still at how many people still say that, basically that nothing's ever going to happen to the Clintons or Obama or any of them, basically, that there's a two-tier justice system. I agree 100%. Up until President Trump, there has been a two-tier justice system, at least for the last 35 years or so. Probably back to maybe 100 years. But it's gotten worse, right? When these arrests happen, when they're announced, and I'm saying, because we've got a lot of rumors out there right now that a lot of people, and I think most of them are probably true, different people that have been arrested, some that have been executed. There's a big difference between a lot of information on the internet that can't be confirmed for whatever reason, and President Trump or Barr coming out and announcing that, Barack Obama was arrested, indicted, arrested, tried, convicted, and executed. That's a big difference than, 10 articles or videos on YouTube that are saying the same thing. When President Trump or Barr announces it, it's over. What are they going to say then? What's CNN going to say then? Barr's a conspiracy theorist, or President Trump is? They're going to show the video of Obama hanging by his neck. They're going to show the evidence against these people. You're going to be able to log on to a website and look, I think, both at executions, maybe on a limited basis. I don't know if they're going to do all of them, because there's going to be a lot of them. I think they're all going to be recorded so that they can be reviewed at a later date if they decide they want to go that route. But the evidence also. I think like the Frazzle Drip video, and I think most of the other videos that the NSA has, President Trump has, the Epstein honeypot videos, I think those are going to be available too to view, because they want, the people that want to question this evidence, go ahead, look at it. It's going to turn your stomach. I'm not going to look at any of it. I know what happened. I don't need to look at a damn video. And You know, to me, um, it's horrific. I don't want to see that, honestly. Um, how a person can do that, the things that have been done to another human being, there's these people are monsters, plain and simple. They are not fit to breathe the same air we do. They need to be eradicated from the face of the earth. If you committed treason against America, if you tortured and murdered children, you're going to get the justice that you deserve now. And in a days or weeks, the world's going to know this. You're not going to be able to hide from it, because on the other side of this, after the 10 days of darkness, I think, that are coming soon, probably within the next week, we're going to have a whole different system. They're going to chop. You know, listen, the executive order written 12/21/17, basically in a nutshell says any corporation or individual involved in human trafficking or corruption can't have their assets seized by the federal government. That's going to happen. It's going to happen to Google, Apple, probably Apple, Microsoft for sure, Facebook for sure, Twitter for sure. Did I say Amazon? Yeah, them too. All going to have their assets seized. I think most of those CEOs, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Schmidt, Dorsey, I think most of them are going to be executed because they have been involved in a conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States. Actively involved. All those companies were developed by our CIA. Every single one of those companies. Google, Facebook, Twitter, I think Amazon too. I think Microsoft. We basically own them anyway. They're all monopolies. They all have way too much control than they should, based on our laws, that they've kind of maneuvered through because they were part of the deep state. So they were basically running the show with the other traders, with the other globalists. So getting to my point, back to my point. On the other side of this thing, we're going to have a whole different environment for news, I think, to start, because all these people that have been part of that globalist agenda are going to be removed one way or another. They're going to jail for the rest of their lives. They're going to be executed. They're going to be out of the picture. Most of these corporations are going to be shut down or taken over by the federal government, which means they're going to be in conservative hands now. So that we're going to get a media that we need. You know, the media, the news organizations get special protection in our Constitution to do the job they're supposed to do. And the problem as Americans is that we got lazy here. And we didn't keep track of these guys and what they're doing. And so, again, it's that death by 1,000 cuts. They keep moving an inch at a time in a certain direction. And pretty soon, like with the media, what is it? 6 corporations control 90% of the media in the world? I think it's something like that. It's ridiculous. And it can't be allowed. And it's going to be fixed very soon. It changes the whole perspective, because now the things that that most people still think are conspiracy theories are going to be reported as fact. You know, the building demolitions on 9/11. Yes, that's a fact. That happened. Those planes didn't bring the buildings down. That was a op involving Israel, Mossad, Saudi Arabia, and our deep state. Bush 41 sat in the White House Situation Room on 9/11. The old man, as the buffoon Junior was down in Florida reading an upside down book. The old man was running the op. You know, Bush 41, I believe, is going to go down as big a monster as Hitler. When you look at the things that he's been responsible for over his career. Remember, Hitler was around for, wasn't even 20 years, I don't think. Bush was around since before the Second World War. He was doing this crap. He planned the JFK assassination. He planned and ran 9/11. The truth's going to come out about all of it. And it won't be conspiracy theory. It's going to be fact. And what people are going to find out is 95% of what's been identified as conspiracy theories are going to be proven to be fact. It's going to be a big, a huge red pill for people to swallow. But it's coming. And when it does, there won't be any more denials. The people won't be able to say, there won't be any arguments. You won't be able to argue it. You won't be able to hide from it. It's going to be on the news 24/7, worldwide. So we're headed in the right direction. We just got to get some of the garbage removed, which is happening. As we speak, it's happening. Here's another hot button. And fear porn. The new fear porn is the EMP attack from China that's going to kill millions in America. Well, I kind of touched on this yesterday. So what happens in an EMP, a big EMP, is basically all electrical lines get fried. The Carrington event in the 1800s fried like all of the Morse code. You know what I'm talking about. Fried the communications in the 1800s. And they would do the same thing today. Basically, your cars, computers, wiring in your house will be fried. We won't have power because the transmission lines will be fried. Okay, so how does that kill millions of people? Well, it doesn't. What kills millions of people in that situation is if it happens and then you stay in a big city, yeah, millions are going to die because you can't keep up. If you don't have water, you don't have sanitation, things get bad quickly in a big city. You know, garbage piles up in the street. You get the rats all over. You know, there's no water to flush toilets. That's a big problem. There's no water to drink either. You know, if your tap's not running, where's the water going to come from? Now, there's some parts of the country that's not a big deal, but like where I am right now in Arizona, that's a really big deal. Water. Bottom line is same as last night. If an EMP hits, I don't care where, if it's natural or China manufactured, get out of the city. It's that simple. And I think, you know, with President Trump in charge, that's what would happen. You know, they get people out of the cities or get the fixes they could in to you know, obviously you're 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 going to take um, the easiest course to get the most people protected. And I think listen, they've game planned all of this stuff. I don't believe. Here's the problem with China doing this, and I've talked about this before. You know, because people have been saying China's going to invade us now for 5 years at least, maybe 10. You have to think this through logically. Okay, so let's say China destroys our grid. What happens to China when that happens? If that happens, economically, we're set back. Just think about it. Manufacturing plants. I mean, probably that if it truly fried our system nationwide, 6 months would be maybe the quickest we could get everything back up and running. What does that do to the country if basically everything again is shut down for 6 months when we just had it shut down for 4 worldwide? Well, here's the problem for China. They're screwed. Because if our economy shut down, how are we going to buy their junk that they're producing? And if we don't buy their junk, who is? No one. And if no one's buying their junk, how are they going to feed 2 billion people? They're not. They're done. The people will revolt. They're already on thin ice. China is. They got a powder keg right now. Hong Kong isn't going away. It's getting worse. They're just starting to crack down there. We'll see how that goes. China does not want this problem. There is zero chance that China, tries an EMP attack against us, because it's if it's not successful, we're going to know they did it. Bad news for China. If it is successful, we're going to know they did it. Bad news for China on a lot of levels. Because not only do they have us to contend with as the government and the military, depending on what President Trump wanted to do, but they got the economic consequences to deal with, which are even worse for them, which could take them down without us doing a damn thing. Again, it's just like the UN going to take our guns. That story's been around for at least 5 years. Explain to me how it's going to happen. It can't. It's a physical impossibility that the UN's going to come in and disarm us. There's 300, the reports vary, 320 to 350 million Americans. Just say it's 320. There's 500 million guns in America. Billions of rounds of ammo. We've got 1 million battle-hardened veterans that are under 50 years old, and a military, the most powerful military in the world, that numbers about 1 million. The most powerful Air Force in the world. And you think the UN, 1 million troops worldwide, that's all the UN has, is 1 million troops worldwide. No Air Force. Explain to me, number one, how they're going to get their sorry asses to our shores. And number two, how they're going to survive more than a week. It would be the biggest massacre in military history if they ever got to our shores, which they can't. They'd murder them on the beaches. The Air Force would destroy them on the beaches. And then we'd have, like Second World War, the supreme commander of the Japanese military forces said no one will ever invade America because they will find a gun behind every blade of grass. That was in the 40s. What was our population back then? How many guns we have then? It's at least double or tripled since then. No one's going to invade America. The UN's not going to come and take our guns. China's not going to try an EMP. Again, this is all fear porn to get us distracted from what they don't want us to look at. Child sex trafficking, satanic pedophilia. Those are the things that are going to destroy them because, and we're already seeing it, most Democrats are moderates. Do you think the moderate soccer moms are ever going to vote Democrat again when they see the video of Hillary Clinton sexually assaulting and torturing to death an 8-year-old girl strapped to a operating table as they carve her up? Uma Abedin and Hillary Clinton. Go to the dark web, look up Frazzle Drip. You'll see Hillary Clinton and Uma Abedin murdering an 8-year-old girl on video. They torture them to raise the adrenochrome levels in the bloodstream. And then, after they drain their blood after they're murdered, and they drink it, they think it gives them a high and makes them live longer. Tell me how many soccer moms are going to vote for that agenda? None. I keep saying, guys, people that are worried about the election, you're wasting your time. I don't give a shit what happens. I don't care. President Trump wins 2020 with 90% of the vote. If it happened today, it would be the biggest landslide in our country's history with nothing happening. Just take the vote right now today. An honest vote, he wins 90% of the vote. You add in the pedophilia, the corruption in the financial system, the swamp, all the politicians that are going down, most of them Democrats. Who's going to vote Democrat? Besides Antifa. The CIA's run the numbers on this. 3 to 5% is all the vote they could muster, all the support they could muster when the pedophilia comes out. Americans, as hard as they tried to normalize this crap the last 5 years, because they knew it was coming out. They knew eventually it was going to come out. Their hope was they'd have enough control over the media that they could normalize it. They already tried to normalize pedophilia. It's okay. It's the same as being gay. No, it's not. Listen, I don't care what two consenting adults do. It's your business. I could care less. You get a kid involved, you got a whole different set of problems with a lot of people. There's nothing normal about pedophilia. Never will be. Again, consenting adults, do what you want. You bring kids into it, not going to happen here. Almost did. We were this close. Think about that. Think about living in that world where the liberals, the globalists controlled everything, and you got no choice. This is how it is. The people in charge, they torture and murder children. Take it or leave it. How'd you like to live in that world? That's where we were headed. If you don't see God's hands all over this, you are not looking hard enough. We don't get to this point without God's hand on President Trump guiding and protecting him. That's the only reason we're here. On the verge of man's greatest accomplishment of destroying this evil that has controlled us, at least for hundreds of years, probably thousands. Greatest transfer of wealth in human history. 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. Man's greatest age. Why is anybody fearful? It's all good, guys. You know, anything that concerns you, anything that I've seen, there's nothing that should concern you. It's all fear porn. There's nothing to fear. Everything that's happening is for our good, the good of the people, not the elites. That's been the program for the last several hundred years, at least. We're on a whole new program now. The people are taking back the world, starting with America. POTUS fires U.S. attorney in Manhattan, Jeffrey Berman, another globalist rat, gone. There's something else going on there because they've been kind of Barr and President Trump have been. I don't know what the deal is, but there seems to be some confusion about who, and it's not a big deal, but you know who actually fired this guy. Barr saying he asked President Trump to do it. President Trump saying it was Barr's decision. It's irrelevant. The guy's gone and needed to be gone. Curious about that play going back and forth. I think there might be something else there that we'll see down the road, but it's unusual that dynamic is happening. We'll see how it plays out. One dead in autonomous zone in Seattle. Ruled a homicide. Gunshot wound. I mean, I'm surprised there hasn't been more of it. We'll see how long that sideshow goes on. I think eventually here, either the Patriots are going to step up and just take our streets back, or President Trump's going to send in the military, the National Guard or Marines, whoever, to end this. And it'll end quickly. Again, Antifa was great. BLM was great when they were, beating up the elderly, dragging them out of their cars. Not so much when the Patriots are kicking their ass or shooting them. And you're going to see not a continuation, an escalation in that. The longer this goes, the more of them are going to get shot. There will not be a civil war. There's another fear porn item. Explain to me how. There's another one. That's to me, it's like the UN going to invade or China's going to invade. A civil war is the same thing. Tell me how it's going to happen. Who are we going to be fighting against? Soros? The 20,000 maximum BLM Antifa they have? Bring it. Another slaughter. These guys are weak. Weak, and they're outnumbered 20-1 minimum. And how many of those 500 million guns do you think they actually have? 1% maximum? If it's a civil war, it's not going to last more than 2 or 3 days. It's not going to happen, guys. It's and when I say it's not going to happen, I'm not saying that there's not going to be a few of them come out and maybe try and murder some people at church or a sporting event or whatever. There's not going to be a war where we're battling for months. Not going to happen. The same thing with a world war. They say, they're trying to gin up that fear also. There's going to be some skirmishes. There's got something here about North Korea. Again, it's the deep state trying to engineer a war. It's not going to happen. They would love it. It's their fantasy. They'd love to have a civil war. That's what they're shooting for. They want a race war in America. They're not going to get it. One side is filled with patriots, militia, military. and the other side is a bunch of kids living in their mom's basement. Tell me how you think it's going to turn out. Not very well for Antifa or BLM. Like I said, it doesn't last a week. Bring it. Let's get it over with. Let's do it right now. They're not going to bring it because they don't have the heart for it. And if they thought they had the heart for it in a day or two, they'd realize that they made a huge mistake. And I think they've already seen that. I mean, you can't believe the video coming out of them getting their asses kicked and shot all around America. And like I said, it's only going to get worse for them. So don't listen to the fear porn. There's not going to be a civil war in America. China to gain draconian powers in Hong Kong. Bill was unveiled today, which would have been yesterday, I guess, in Hong Kong. They're basically just going to take the rights away from the people there, and I'm telling you, it's China's got so many problems of their own to worry about. We don't need to worry about China. They're going. I mean, I've said, if God gets involved in this, China could go down this year. Communism is done in the world, for sure. 5 years, I give it. I think Russia's all ready to give it up. I think Putin knows it's coming. Chinese are maybe going to fight it a little bit longer, but there's no way communism survives. They're done. The world is changing. The people are fed up. And it's not like the Tiananmen Square where they massacred all those people 20 years ago, whatever it was in China. There's something happening in the world. You know, they pulled this crap in Iran 2 months ago, I think it was. They murdered 1,500 protesters in the streets. Now, in the past, the streets would have been empty for weeks. The next week, there was 1 million in the streets in Iran. The government had to back down. Because if they would have gone out and tried the same thing with 1 million people in the streets, the world would have stood up against them. It would have been over in a week for Iran. You know, China's in the same spot. You know, they can't murder thousands of people and get away with it anymore. The world's too small. Too many cameras. You know, again, something that these globalists instituted to exert their control over us, filming everything, cameras everywhere. Well, guess what? Now they're filming you too. The people of the world aren't going to stand for this crap anymore. It might not happen this year, but within 5 years, communism's dead in the world. It can't survive. Communism is a joke. It's a way to control people. It's not anything that any sane person wants their government to be. Show me one that has been successful in history. Just one. You can't. Because there haven't been any. It's only there as a control structure. We're going to see a huge shift to constitutional republics after this is over. Huge shift. Okay. UN deletes pro-Antifa tweet after backlash. Human rights experts. That's a joke, right? Coming from the UN. Human rights experts in the UN? Just look what the UN's been responsible for: the rape, for the child trafficking. The UN's done. Rightfully so. And a lot of them ought to be executed for the crap they've pulled. So the tweet was basically saying that they were concerned about the Attorney General describing Antifa and other anti-fascist activists as domestic terrorists. Well, yeah, they're concerned because it means it's the end of their little game. Because now, instead of getting a slap on the wrist, all these people they're arresting are finding out it's a 10-year sentence. And you're finished. They got you on video. Burning cop cars. That's 10 years. How do you like that? Well, there's a good thing. Your mom's not going to have to feed you in the basement anymore. You're going to get it at Gitmo or somewhere else. Equally as uncomfortable for you. You're not going to like it. It's not going to be as comfortable as mommy's basement. And a lot of these people are figuring it out. And as they do, there'll be fewer and fewer of them on the streets. This is not going to end well for Antifa and BLM. Another slaughter is coming if they want to bring it. And listen, I have no remorse. You want to try and take down our country? You want to come after me and my family? I have no trouble pulling that trigger as many times as it takes. And there's millions of patriots that think the exact same way I do. So you jackasses will want to bring this shit. We're waiting patiently. It's not going to happen. The UN says it undermines the rights to freedom of expression. That's classic coming from the UN, who, we can't talk about virtually anything conservative without being silenced by these clowns. Facebook, Twitter, all coming to an end, guys. The rule of law is coming back to America, which means the Constitution is coming back to America, which means free speech is coming back to America. That means Facebook, Twitter, they're not going to have any say any longer. It's days or weeks away. Free speech means free speech. No such thing as hate speech in America. There are organizations that I detest. But I will defend their rights to exercise their right to freedom of speech, even though I don't like what they're saying. We have to remember as patriots, guys, this is a two-way street. We can't be like them. We have to uphold the Constitution, or we're no better than they are. Even though there's going to be a lot of them running their mouths. I don't care. Say what you want. Free country. When that talk spills over to illegal action, well, now we got a whole different story. But I don't care what group it is. Even though I don't agree with them, I'll defend their right. And we have to do that. That's what sets our country apart. That you can, at least up to this point, have the illusion of freedom. And trust me, we haven't been free for a really, really long time. But it's coming. True freedom is at our doorstep. And we're almost there, guys. Days or weeks. Yeah. We live in a time when our opinions qualify as crimes. I mean, in the UK, you can be arrested for speaking out against the pedophilia that the Quran allows, condones. They can arrest you. It's a fact. The Quran does condone pedophilia, a lot of things that are illegal. And trust me, Sharia law is never going to fly in America, not compatible with our Constitution. We're going to run the Muslims who want Sharia law are going to be sent home. We're not going to have that problem in America. They're not going to use our Constitution to hijack our country. They're going to be sent home. You don't like America? You can't swear allegiance to America? Out. Here's a plane ticket. You're on the next plane. See ya. Go change your own country. We don't want you here. Say what you want. That's my opinion. And that's what's going to happen. And honestly, a lot of them are going to run home because when the free money dries up and the free benefits and things aren't going their way anymore, they're not going to want to stay here because they're not going to be welcome. Freedom of speech is one of our most sacred rights. You got to agree. I mean, what makes us great here? Back to the economy. Fed's actions have obliterated true price discovery. You know, in a capitalistic society or financial system, it's supply and demand. You know, the market set the price based on supply and demand. It's simple. Simple if it's allowed to function without interference. The problem's been 50 years, probably, we haven't had a free market. It's been manipulated for 50 years. I think it was Reagan. Well, 40 years. And it was going on before then. But the plunge protection team, you know, they set up a fund to keep the stock market from crashing. You know, they see something going on. There's guys, their job is to actually pump money in the stock market to protect it. It's counter to capitalism. It's bordering on the verge of socialism, and of course we know that's where they wanted to go. If it's going to crash, let it crash. That's what's supposed to happen. We rebuild. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's going to work in the future. BLM co-founder admits our goal is to get President Trump out. Was there any doubt? I mean, you know, this isn't a legitimate group that has, you know, legitimate gripes with our system. These are people that want to overthrow our governments. That's simple. And they have been rightfully labeled as a terrorist organization. Now it changes the whole game for these guys. And once the word, you know, these guys are getting $150 a day, or was it $1,500 a week, I think, was one of the ads. They've been running ads all over the country. The reason they're running ads all over the country, because their big army is drying up. They got to recruit more because people aren't buying this crap. They're not liking the reception they're getting this time around. And it's going to get worse for them, like I said. Americans have already skipped payments on 100 million loans. Now think about that for a second. That's not $100 million in loans. That's 100 million loans. So loans aren't for $1. typically we're talking about thousands or hundreds of thousands. We're talking about mortgage payments and car payments, right? And so what would the average payment be in America when you're talking about those kind of things that people have been able to put off because of the virus, right? And the economy. What are we talking? How many billions or trillions already just after a month or two that this has been going on? What's it going to be like in another 2 months? And the problem is going to be not that the people just want to put it off. They're not going to have the money to pay it. You know, what was it, 46 million unemployment claims since the lockdown started? I think that was yesterday I talked about it. What's it going to be in another 2 weeks? Where do you think this is headed? It's not good. It's a mathematical certainty the economy is going to collapse. The worldwide economy is collapsing. Get your money out of the system. Get your money into physical silver and Litecoin. The websites will be listed, where to buy your silver, where to buy your Litecoin. Get a hold of Kevin Owens if you have any questions. 702-325-9258. Call Kevin. He can get you answer any of your questions, get you on the right track. You need to do it now, guys. We were just talking to some friends before I came on tonight. Shoot. Damn it. Where was I going with this? Damn it. Where was I? Shoot. I lost it. If I remember, I'll come back with it. Damn it. It was a good one, too. Anyway, North Korea sends troops and ships to border as more attention-grabbing explosive displays loom. Really? It's all fear porn. This is the deep state setting the stage. You know, hey, everybody look over here. Bad things are happening in North Korea. What are they going to do? They're going to invade South Korea with us defending South Korea? How do you think that's going to go for North Korea? This is, listen, again, trying to either make people think that a world war is coming or actually try and start a world war. How long do you think that war is going to last between America and North Korea? I mean, South Korea could probably take them out in a week. They got no food. They can't feed their people. They're broke. The deep state CIA's been running that country for 25 years. Our CIA was developing their nuclear weapons program. They're a puppet government. It's all smoke and mirrors. They're not going to start a war, unless they want to commit suicide. Again, it's zero chance of having any impact. Again, they might try something. It'll last a week. There's no world war here. Yeah, the UN concerned about human rights is comical when you look at their track record. Human rights abuses by the UN. Again, shut down for sure before President Trump's out of office, probably this year, if not this year, next. Not going to give the UN any money. Not going to give World Health Organization any money. CDC, sorry, you're done too. CIA, the Fed, the IRS, Child Protective Services, all these illegitimate organizations. Oh, Planned Parenthood, another one. They're done. That's why these guys are fighting so hard. All of their hopes and dreams are being eradicated. All their fantasies about running the world and killing 7 billion people all going up in smoke. They were so arrogant for years because they were driving the bus. They had the keys. They had control. Never thought they'd lose it. Then came President Trump and God. How do you think they're going to win? How do you think this is going to turn out for them? You're going against God and President Trump. How's it going to end? I know the ending. The good guys win. It's as good as over. Nothing's going to change what's coming. The crisis goes up a gear. Is this the beginning of the end for the dollar, the U.S. dollar? Yes, it is. The dollar's dead. Coming anytime. That's the other thing, guys. President Trump would like to get the economy, I think, to the 4th of July till he declares a reset. Sometime, I think, in July. This thing could happen any day. The financial collapse could happen Monday. Nobody controls the markets 100%. It's too big, and it's like a runaway train. This thing could collapse at any time. It's that weak. Now, they're going to try and keep it going, but they can't guarantee that they can because it's too big. I mean, there's $1.5 quadrillion in derivatives. I think the economic destruction was done with the derivatives that triggered when we had the big oil crisis last month. I think it's too late. There's nothing they could do to save this economy. I think it's already finished. They just haven't done the final tallies yet, right? The final accounting. When they do and they have to announce it, I mean, that's any time. This whole thing could be shut down. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to talk about. 10 days of darkness. Friends had a question. Will we be able to buy Litecoin again after the 10 days of darkness? Yeah, you will. Here's the problem. After the 10 days of darkness, what do you think is going to happen to the price? Well, the price is going to be going up during the 10 days of darkness, number one. When nobody can buy it, the price is going to be going up because people are going to see what's happening in the world and understand that you want Litecoin and silver. So if you're going to buy, you have to buy before, I think, the 10 days of darkness, because you're not going to be able to buy during the 10 days of darkness because everything's going to be shut down. Internet, phone, radio, TV. And when you can buy again, the prices will not be the same. They're going to be huge jumps. I expect both silver and Litecoin to be over $100 by the end of the 10 days of darkness if it happens. And again, Q's been talking about it a lot. I think it's probably 75% that we have the 10 days of darkness. Possible we don't. Possible we don't need it. But we have to expect it and be prepared for it. And then hopefully it doesn't. I mean, we'll see. If it needs to happen, I'm all for it. The way things are going, they're going really well for the good guys, for the white hats, for us. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, that's all I've got. Let's see what we got for questions here. Paul, what's up? Dennis, what's up? Leslie, what's up? Darren, hello. Darren and Darren. Oh, we do have a couple of Darrens. Glenn, what's up? Cecil, how's it going? You got our live chat on, Dennis? Gary says, President Trump's bringing down the house. Do you see the crowds there? I mean, here's another one. Fox just came out with um, um, a poll that said Biden, this is Fox now, Biden was leading President Trump by 12%. And you don't think Fox is run by globalists? You think Fox is conservative? Is a joke. Biden can't get anyone to show up for a rally. I mean, they had a picture, there was no one there except for a couple of people in the media. President Trump gets 1 million requests for 19,000 seats in Oklahoma. And you think that there's a chance that President Trump loses this election? Not going to happen. Tina, hello. President Trump is on the offensive. Make no mistake about it. Shelly, how you doing? Oh, by the way, we had a great recruiting session at Rusty Spur last night. It was so good. I think we're going to go back and try to recruit more members. C60, that's right. Jerry and Gary Carlson. C60 will take care of your aches and pains. Yeah, screw the UN. You know, how just, oh, another one. Red Cross, another bunch of scammers. Good and cheap, carbon 60 in olive oil. Get it either from Good and Cheap. If you get it from Good and Cheap directly, I think you can save $2 or $3 a bottle depending on how much you order. You can get it at Amazon also. It's like $19 a bottle, I think, at Amazon, 19 or 20. And then you can get it $2 or $3 a bottle cheaper if you go to directly to Good and Cheap. So Good and Cheap is a manufacturer. Good and Cheap, carbon 60 and olive oil. Miracle supplement. Cecil, are you telling stories now about carbon 60? Don't fall for it, Shelley. It's not a bath oil. It wouldn't hurt you. Yeah, expensive bath oil. Cecil. Barbara, how you doing? Yeah, listen, they're never going to take our First Amendment. They're never going to take our Second Amendment. All of this hype that the globalists are putting out, just because they would like it to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen. None of it's going to happen. They want you to think it is. They want you to be fearful it is going to happen, but it's not. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as the UN taking our guns or China invading. They would love for those things to happen. Unfortunately, they're not going to. Unfortunately for the deep state and the globalists. They're done. We're watching a cornered animal. We're watching a snake after its head's been cut off flop around. That's what we're watching right now. Oh boy. Yeah, Cecil's bad. Oh. Dennis has got both a rally and the live chat going. Oh, wow. Your neighbors are going to love you now. Uh, Coming from Cecil, dorks are fun, sexy, and good. LOL. Okay, Cecil. For the dorks of the world. Cecil standing up. America, well, the world is broke. Don't think that we're all broke on our own. Listen, before this shutdown happened, the lockdown, the countries around the world could barely pay the interest on their debt. So what do you think happened after 4 months of no revenue? Do you think it got better or do you think it got worse? It got a lot worse. It's over. Can't even make the interest payments on this debt. It's never going to be repaid, guys. It can't be repaid. Physically impossible to repay this. Going to be a reset. Wipe it out, start over. Well, it could be a couple of things. Yeah, our numbers, we've been running around 80 or so on the live chat and 2,500 to 3,000 views per day on the live chats. They have been hitting us hard, guys. You can always tell because our numbers drop way off. Now, tonight, the 22 might be because people are watching President Trump's rally, and then they'll come back and watch us later. We'll know by the numbers tomorrow night. But I can tell you don't go from 3,000 views a night for a week or two straight and then drop down to 700, which happened 2 nights ago. It's because they're shadow banning or steering views away from us. They don't want our message out there. Whatever. They can't stop it forever, guys. Keep sharing. Keep telling your friends. Keep inviting your friends to the Watchman page and the Watchman Way page. 2 weeks ago, we were at 700 members on the Watchman page. 2 weeks ago. In 3 days, I've got like 5,000, right at 5,000 friends. I invited probably half my friends list, and we were at, well, yeah, around that. We were at 1,200 within 2 days. Invite your friends to the Watchman page. Invite your friends to the Watchman Way page. Go through your whole list. Invite everybody. Now's the time to do that. It's a numbers game, guys. The more people we get in our groups, the more people are going to get red pilled. It's that simple. Be bold right now. I know, you worry about some of those people. My aunt or my cousin is going to think I'm crazy. So what? There's never been a more critical time in our history than right now. If you're ever going to be bold, now is the time to do it. Invite your whole list. Let's get these numbers up. It's the easiest way to do it, guys. People are starved for this. I've been doing this now for a year and a half. Last year, I'd invite 500 people. I might get 5 that accepted the invite. I did 500 people last week. We got through. No, I invited probably 1,000. Well, I don't know. What was it? We ended up getting 500, I think. Went from 700 to 1,200 in less than a week. So, God, the percentage was huge, the difference in a year. It's because people, a year ago, nobody thought any of this was going to happen. Today, the world is worried all of the things I've been talking about is going to happen. So people want the information now. So you're going to be surprised if you do this, if you have the guts to do this, you're going to be surprised at the friends and relatives that you personally know that accept these invites. Because there's a lot of people that are thinking differently than you think they are. Because you have to remember, there's a lot of people, especially in liberal areas, that won't talk about this stuff to protect their jobs, their standing in the community. Trust me, I know. I lost all my friends in California. But the bottom line is, guys, what's more important? Listen, if they want to shut you down or unfriend you because you sent them a link to one of our groups doing God's work, do you really want them as a friend anyway? Take them back. You know, don't rub anybody's nose in it. But because they are going to come back to you. All these people that have criticized you, called you names, called you a conspiracy theorist or a nut, most of them are going to come back and apologize when they understand what we've been trying to do. So be bold. Do this. Stephanie, what's up? Todd, what's up? Tanya, what's up? Playing in the rain. Okay. We get long again. Barbara, how's it going? Well, we don't know that, Jerry, and I think you're getting maybe confused with the Bible, but 10 days can mean 10 days. We're talking about Q now. And they may not need 10 days. Again, it doesn't make any difference. It is what it is. Be prepared for 10 days. Thanks, Dennis. Fox is fake news. Cecil's always in the saddle. Cowboy up, Cecil. Red Cross. Yeah. Where's all that blood going, guys? Listen, you're going to be disgusted by what you learn these people have been doing. Yeah, okay, Cecil. I'll get right on that. Don't worry about the relatives and the friends that think you're crazy. Trust me. Just give it 2 or 3 months, see what they think. They're going to think you're a genius. Yeah, there's a lot of people. They're not just pissed off; they're scared. You got both. We're starting to see the kind of anger build up in the patriots, and more the fear built up in, I think, well, both conservatives and liberals, because they're starting to see that what the reality is in our country and the world is way different than the media's been telling them, and they are completely blindsided by it. Therefore, we've got the cognitive dissonance, because it just doesn't jive. They can't rationalize it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't compute. So expect people to lash out and ignore it like water off a duck's back. It can't bother you. Shouldn't bother you. Consider the source. These people aren't thinking rationally. So don't get upset by somebody who's going sideways because they don't understand what's happening. You know, you can't give that any credence. It's meaningless. MD, how you doing? Red Cross is dirty as sin. Okay, guys, that's all the questions. Same thing. Time is short. Every person matters. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep red pilling and preparing right to the end. Don't weaken. Now's the time to be bold. I'm going to end it there for tonight with our prayer. For God and country, amen. I'll see you tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. God bless.